between New Zealand and Norway, I think, and the rest of them fighting out for the bronze medal.
And all boats underway there. The Italians a little slow off the blocks, but really firing it out. They look to be one of the highest rating crews on the course. But here are the race favourites, the Kiwis. In the stroke seat, we have Chris Harris. In the bow seat, Robbie Manson.
And I think Chris Harris is a really fantastic stroke man. You know, I mean, he's driving the crew off, but they have this ability to maintain that high rate of striking, the Kiwis. They're back in the field at the moment, the race leaders, the Italians closest to you, but it's so competitive, Sarah, down in New Zealand. Of course, these two men and the four men from the New Zealand quad fighting, you know, each other. The New Zealand quad unfortunately just missed out on Olympic qualification, but that competition really does drive a great tolerance in the second and third quarters of the race.
Yeah, it's such an incredible program that they have down there on Lake Karapiro, but seeing the Kiwis back in the field is no surprise. We've almost seen this play out in every race so far, typically being, you know, the sort of boat behind coming through that first 500 metres, but doing the damage through the middle 1,000, like you say, really race hardened and such a tough squad to be a part of. But the British come through the first 500 metres in the lead. Just behind them are the Norwegians in the middle of the course. Olaf Tufte with Kjell Borch, who was the world champion in the men's double from 2013, finding a new combination here with Olaf.
So on the top of your screen, it's the British who are probably having one of their best rows of the season. They've improved really since they took 6th place in the Europeans on the best lane on that far side, and Mark Banks will be delighted to see exactly what his crew have done. They've really stepped up to the pace, and John Collins looks across to confirm they are ahead of both New Zealand and Norway, and the French immediately to their left. The French had a great scull yesterday in the semi-final and led the New Zealanders through the 500, through the 1,000. It's a very different race. The French were working hard for that. You can see with Bowes number 2 in their boat. But ominous for me, I think Olaf Tufte will take this race, Sarah.
Yeah, look, I think my money's going to go with the Kiwis. We can see them starting to move through now. Their bows just popping ahead of the Norwegians. The British, a lot of power there, but it's looking quite expensive. The bow of the boat bouncing around a bit. There's a lot of power. It doesn't look as efficient as the Kiwis, just sitting off to their left-hand side in the white Felipe boat. Their bows surging. They're a little bit sort of softer, a little more careful through that back end to really not throw that bow down into the water. Still an awful lot of power on the end of the handle, but a little bit more care of the boat in that second half.
So a great first 1,000 metres, 3:02 from the British. That's 4 seconds outside world's best pace, so it's a quick time. The New Zealanders, they have a fearsome third quarter, and at the moment they have the lead over the Norwegians. I think Olaf Tufte and Kjell Borch would have wanted to have been closer to the Kiwis at this point of the race. The Kiwis were really all over the Croatian world champions. I cannot believe how well the British are sculling. I mean, the British will be looking on the bow. I think that's David Tanner, the performance director, in the centre of that sort of small peloton. But this is a sensational scull from the British. Nobody would have predicted this result from the crew that finished back in 5th place in Lucerne.
And as we come to the 1250 metre mark, the Kiwis just starting to claw back. They're about half a length down on the British, but look at the French in lane 2 there, starting to draw even with lane 4, which is the Norwegian crew of Kjell Borch and Olaf Tufte, the French crew. Would you expect to see them at this point pushing up on the Kiwi crew, Martin?
Well, I would. I did think that Olaf Tufte, who's a fearsome sculler, would actually, particularly in the second half, has got that amazing sprint, but at the moment Collins and Walton having the performance of their lives, and really fortune favours the brave. It reminds me a little bit of when Kath Granger did this in the Worlds in 2009. She took on Ekaterina Karsten and she was leading through 1,500 metres. I think the Kiwis will come back through the British. French have just moved ahead of the Norwegians. I don't know if Buchon and Andreas have got a sprint that will hold off Olaf Tufte's sprint. He was training on the Jürgen running yesterday, whereas his partner Checo Borsch wasn't. Olaf Tufte really likes to train all the time. The New Zealanders coming through, but it's not a quick movement, is it? They haven't jumped on it.
No, we can see the Kiwis now pumping the rate up. They're up to 40 strokes a minute. We see them just push it up there. They know that they're going to have to work to A, keep the French away, but B, to bring back this British crew. What an incredible performance. They're at 1,700 metres and the British are hanging in there, but they're really starting to suffer now. It's been an incredible rode out of their skins, I think, to be in this position with 250 metres to go.
The Olympics does that, you know. I mean, they put themselves into medal contention for the Olympics. The Croatians will come back, but, you know, just an amazing race. I think the New Zealanders are going to do it, but the British still have 3 or 4 feet. We can look out in front of us now. It's neck and neck between them. You can see the picture. The New Zealanders have got the edge, but Collins and Walton, they had that fantastic close race with Azou and Delaire at Henley, which the French just won. They know how to handle a close race, but the Kiwi bow, I think, has hit the front. The French are in second place, Norwegians in fourth. Yes, it is New Zealand who will take the gold medal. The British tiring, the French coming through, but I don't think they'll do enough to get the silver medal. What a great race. Fantastic win for New Zealand. The British take silver. Incredible silver. The French, the bronze medal ahead of Norwegians. They will say it's a photo finish, but I think you saw the finish, ladies and gentlemen, on the line. I have to say the Kiwis will be really pleased with that win. Robbie Manson on the right of your picture, Chris Harris on the left. But really the story of this race is the British double. They have never ever won a medal in a World Cup, ever. They've been there, they've been in the final, and this is exactly what it means to them. You can see Jono Walton smack the boat. Race of their lives, and you know, they're selected for the Olympics.